I am the founder, director of 0 Hour Ministries, and 0 Hour, the name itself, means a pivotal moment in time where a plan moves forward. It's actually a military term. But what I want you to realize right now, I want to sit in this for just a second. Currently, Gen Z is the first post-Christian generation in America's history. Just stop for a second and think about that reality that we're living in. This is a generation that doesn't know the stories of the Bible. They don't know who Jesus is. They have no concept of going to church on Christmas or Easter. There is a monumental shift happening right now in our country with this next generation. And we have to realize that because it requires us to shift our strategies. The truth is, we've been utilizing the same old strategies since the 70s in youth ministry of finding a young enough, hip enough, attractive enough leader to throw events and hope that students will invite them to those events. The truth is, they're not coming anymore. They're not showing up to those things. But we actually believe with 0 Hour, this is the greatest opportunity we've been given because the lines have become clearer. Students are no longer just faking whether or not they go to church or believe in Jesus. There is a truth and a reality to them. They believe in transparency and authenticity, like deep to their core. Well, we believe that we have to flip the reality of finding these leaders that are cool enough and training and equipping and empowering these students to be the disciple makers in their school. We believe it's going to take Gen Z in order to actually reach Gen Z. It is going to take adults and leaders to believe and train in them, to empower them and reach their friends. Now let me introduce you to a student named Elijah. We got introduced to Elijah about a year ago through a youth pastor and one of the youth groups we've connected with. And he was your best youth group student. Like, knew all of the answers, understood everything, always showed up to the events, tried his best to invite his friends. But there was a longing in Elijah that wanted more. It wasn't enough. He had this deep, deep desire for his friends at his school to come to know Jesus like he knew him. So we walked with Elijah over the next 7 weeks to train him on what it looks like to actually be a disciple maker to make a difference in your school. We trained students on how to pray fervently for their friends and their school around them. We trained them on relational evangelism and how to ask good questions. we spend more time training students on how to have a conversation more than anything else because they're so on their screen, right? And there's so much power in that relational piece. And then we train them on Discovery Bible Studies, an inductive way to study the Word of God through question asking. And then we help them launch teams. Well, Elijah, I'm like midway through the training with Elijah, and he literally tells me, he's like, hey, dude, I don't think this is going to work. I'm like, okay, thank you for your honesty. How about you and I just continue to pray for the rest of the summer? So he's like, okay, fine. So him and I start praying consistently we have a thing called Bless 5, where it's 5 individuals around you that you pray for 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So we started praying. Summer ends, first day of school rolls around. I get a call from Elijah. And Elijah's like, dude, you won't believe it. I'm like, okay, what's up? You just went to school. 3 friends that I prayed for the entire summer approached me and asked me about my relationship with Jesus. And he's like, this works. I was like, come on, yes, God does work. He shows up in the moments where we're consistent and join him in obedience. After that, Elijah, one of these kids was an atheist, and over time built this relationship with Elijah, and this kid was open to reading the Word of God. And so Elijah walked through the next 6 months of the entirety of the New Testament with him, just in a Discovery Bible Study format. And this kid came to know who Jesus is and even opened up about some suicidal ideologies, and Elijah was literally able to pray over him. So Elijah had these unbelievable missional moments, but on top of that, he launched a microchurch, what we call a team of students on his high school campus of other disciple makers committed to going out and making disciples of others around them. Okay, so how did this happen? Elijah, an ordinary student, gets trained, equipped to see his school as a mission field. He planted himself where God already had him in his school and planted the gospel right where he was at. I want you to imagine, what if simple expressions of the church existed like this in every single high school campus in America. Students actually living and trained to go out and make disciples of others around them. I think we would start to see a movement of God. Well, what we do and how we train people is I explained that 4-session deal, and we do that over and over again. The primary ways we do that through is we have a trip every year. We expose students to on-the-ground disciple making globally. Like we're going to Kenya next year to expose students to this. And then we contextualize it and send them back in their schools. We have a winter camp. We do it through huddles. We do it at coffee shops. And then we have an ongoing equipping gathering. In 20 years, our vision is to see over 6,000 disciple makers trained and sent, see 360 teams emerge on high school campuses in and around Kansas City, and have a hub team of equippers and trainers to actually exist in every county in the surrounding area of Kansas City. So there's like 6 major counties. And we believe we need 4 to 6 equippers within each. Why? Because there are students longing to see this kind of change. Over the last 2 years since we started, we've been able to train 350 students on disciple making. We've seen 17 new teams of disciple makers emerge on high school campuses. And we've recorded over 450 spiritual conversations, 20 new Discovery Bible studies, and then we've seen multiple students give their lives to Jesus as a first-time decision. My invitation to you is that we are at a space and place where we need to scale. There are students coming to us on a daily, weekly basis asking to be trained, and we're a small team, and we're operating on really low budget. But we're inviting you to help us scale, to invest in the next generation, because they're hungry for more. They're hungry for revival. They're hungry for more than just being inviters to their youth group. They're hungry for you as adults to believe in them and empower them to shift the tide of a generation and see a movement of God sweep through the campuses of America that sees long-lasting fruit that redefines and reshapes the church in the West. Thank you.